Hi, my name is Marietta Mahani, and this week's Aqua Tip we're doing a cross-country ski, but with some different arms and a little bit of a combination. We like the combination. Now the cross-country ski we're going to be doing with straight legs and the arms sweeping across the body. So fingers wide apart, palms turning into the water, bouncing off the toes and rebounding. Yep, allow the torso to rotate with the arms. Now, what I do next is I place my left hand on my waist and I move my right arm across and out, across, fingers stay open, and then you can switch hands, right? So now to left arm, so it can be a single arm action, right? So same arm, same movement pattern, just different limbs, rotating the torso. Then you can combine it. So it can be single arm, both arms, single arm, both arms. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right arm, left arm, sorry, both arms, then left arm, then both arms. Alright, so on the toes, always bouncing on the toes, fingers really open. Do you see all that turbulence? That's what you want to see your clients doing, and it comes from the fingers really dragging the water across. You will have also noticed that I turn my head as I do it as well. Now that's optional. I do it because it challenges my vestibular system as a plane or a helicopter goes overhead. And I want to do that because it helps with my brain health. So important. If you don't understand what vestibular training is, I have an online course. It's called Memory Through Movement. Memory through movement, because this has got a lot to do with memory. And you can just go to mariettamahaniEducation.com and check it out. You'll change the way your older adults move in the pool after you do that course, because you'll understand the importance of what it does to the hippocampus. So get the heads turning, get the torso rotating while the lower body is going forwards and back, and it's a nice little combination. I would start with both arms, do that a few times, get the technique, get them to learn how to push through the water, then do it with the right arm, and then maybe switch to the left arm, and then do the combination. That could take a good chunk of time in a class that makes it interesting than the traditional cross-country ski. And that is this week's Aqua Tip. Demonstrating the cross-country ski with the arms moving across the body isn't difficult to do on land. It does require a little bit of athleticism because you need to sort of bounce up and down. But basically you're asking them to do a classic cross-country ski with the arms moving across the body. Now, what I like to do is demonstrate the whole thing first and then break down individual parts. And the order of the individual breakdowns is important. So I say, cross-country ski, arms moving across your body, fingers in the water. So make sure the hands in the water, make sure you've got your arms down low. See if you can bounce off your toes, so your body should be springing up out of the water. Fingers wide apart, drag the water across your body. You should see quite a lot of turbulence, keeping your hand as open as possible and palms turning in the same direction. And if you can, see if you can now also rotate your head and your torso at the same time as your cross-country ski movement. So that would be pretty much all the explanations that I would provide, and then I might backtrack and then repeat some of them again as I view what my participants are doing, just to coach better technique. Then, of course, then you say, okay, keep going with what you're doing, everybody, just the right arm. So as an instructor, tuck your left hand onto your waist, or maybe behind your back, just so that you can highlight what the right arm is doing. What they're doing with their left arm doesn't really matter in the pool. They don't need to do this as well. But, you know, from a demonstration point of view, you've got to be really clear. So just your right arm sweeping across your body. Now, just one thing to point here, as the right arm goes across, your left leg needs to be in front. So it can't be the same arm and leg, right? And I know that sounds really crazy, but I have seen really interesting things being taught on pool deck. And I've often asked an instructor, did that feel awkward to you when you were demonstrating it? And they'd say yes. And I'm like, so why didn't you change it? But I think when you're in the throes of teaching a class and you want to please and you're having to manage some personalities, we can be a bit distracted about what we're actually demonstrating. So when you're doing the cross-country ski, it does feel really natural that when that right arm comes forward, just like when you walk, yep, you have your left leg in front and then out to the side, right? So right arm sweeping across, and then you've got your left arm doing the same thing. Okay, so you'll demonstrate them on the right and then on the left. Now, when you do the combination, it can be a lot, especially if you perhaps don't have the world's best joints. So how do you demonstrate all of that? I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the whole getting one leg to move forwards and back. You know, I know that there's some schools of thought of that's what you actually teach, but I inevitably will have one person stand still on one foot and then move one leg forwards and back. And I'm trying to explain to them, no, that's what I have to do because I'm the instructor and I'm one. It's all too much. So what I would do is say, okay, both hands, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your right arm, 1, 2. So I probably would actually do all the jumping to start with. So I'd go 1, 2, 3, 4. Right arm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Both arms, 1, 2, 3, 4. Left arm, 1, and then hold it still. Both arms, and then your right arm, then both arms. And I would count it out. I would definitely count it out. The other thing too is these demonstrations, because of the arms moving in the transverse plane, I would be demonstrating facing them. So I wouldn't be demonstrating side on unless I wanted to point something out with the legs. So the depth that your feet are actually apart when you're demonstrating this, I'll show you, my feet weren't that far apart. So I was sort of doing this, yep, to make it more accessible for me to do that movement pattern. So I wasn't really spreading my legs out really wide, so it was a little bit easier, but from a depth perception, they can't really see it. They can see that your legs are moving, but they're focusing more on what your arms are doing because that's what you're counting down, not counting down what the legs are doing. Okay, there's a lot going on there, but I just want to reiterate something I mentioned in the pool with getting people to turn their heads. And there is a course that I do have online called Memory Through Movement, which is all about understanding the vestibular system and how that drives memory. And if you do teach predominantly older adults, I highly recommend checking out that course. Go to mariettamahani.com and just check out the online courses. You'll see the tab all the way over to the right side. And that is this week's Aqua Tip.